morning, good evening, good grief, or wherever you are in your day, welcome to Fractured Headlines. Last night I had a very disturbing dream in which the President of the United States and his wife visited my childhood church. And those of us who were parishioners or former parishioners were invited to come to the meeting, to the event. And at that event, we were seated at tables, and we were given White House stationery on which to write our greetings, our effusive words of praise, or our thanks to the great leader for showing up at our church and speaking with us. Given the opportunity, I instead drew a picture of the White House with the East Wing destroyed. When it was my turn to speak to the president, I brought my picture up to the president and I showed him and I said, "You have desecrated the White House. You have no right to destroy the East Wing. You have destroyed part of a historic structure which many Americans hold dear and which we consider as our house, not your house." Well, the president got very angry, and the security apparatus was alerted, and I was removed from his presence and put into a black sedan, along with another protester who had also offended the president. Keep in mind, this is a dream. Uh, I escaped from the black car and went right back into the church and went upstairs where Melania Trump was having a meeting with some of the church ladies. And again, I presented my picture of the White House with the destroyed East Wing, and I said to her, "You and your husband have no right to make changes like this to the White House. This is our house. This is a cherished national landmark." Well, the response from the ladies was immediately a unanimous chant of USA, USA, USA. And so, uh, again, the security apparatus was alerted. And this time, knowing that they were on the way, I escaped through the back door of the church and ran out to a line of livery cars that were waiting to give people rides back to wherever they had to go. And I hopped in the first car and went home, abandoning my own vehicle at the church. Well, this was a weird dream, don't you think? But when I woke up, I was determined to think about it some more and maybe even to reflect on it publicly. And so I did a little research this morning, and I think at the heart of my discontent with the current situation is the fact that the White House is indeed our house. It is America's house. It is not the president's house. The president is only a temporary occupant of that house. He doesn't own it. He doesn't have a lease on it. He's going to have to go, just as every other president has spent some time there and has left at the end of his term. The White House. Oh, here's a picture of the White House, by the way, including the main residence, the East Wing, and the West Wing. What immediately strikes me is the sense of balance. The East Wing and the West Wing are approximately the same size. They are distanced from the main residence approximately the same distance. Overall, there's a sense of balance. The building was created with a view toward classical architecture in which balance and symmetry are important in order to create a pleasing a visual for the person who's looking at the building. Well, the White House is about 55,000 square feet, and the proposed ballroom, which will be attached over where the East Wing was, is going to be 90,000 square feet, almost double the size of the White House itself. This is roughly akin to a human body having a tumor attached to its roughly double the size of the body. It's unsightly, it's ungainly, it's unbalanced, it's uncivilized, it's uncouth, it's unheard of, and it's downright ridiculous. The proportions are all wrong. It is creating an architectural monstrosity in our nation's capital. There was no need. Let's review the job of the president, shall we? The president is the executive. He is the leader of the executive branch of government, which in a perfect world would operate in harmony with the judicial branch and the legislative branch equally. They should share power equally so that no one branch of the government gets out of hand and does crazy things, which is what we've seen in this 47th president's administration. Crazy things being done. Last night's dream was about the White House, but I've certainly got comments to make on other aspects of this presidency as well, which will be coming in future videos. Yes, adding a 90,000 square foot dining hall for rich folks, a golden gilded dining hall, a mess hall for rich people, will create an architectural monstrosity, an unbalanced piece of dreck in our nation's capital. The folks who have funded this are the usual suspects, the billionaires who are seeking to curry favor with our current president. The corporate cowards who already have way, way more money than they will ever be able to spend in their lifetimes, and yet are still eager to secure more cash, to get more money. No need for that. Now, what I'm going to recommend is that when the blessed day arrives that Donald Trump is removed from office and his replacement is installed, that the replacement set about immediately to tear down the garish and unnecessary mess hall for rich folks and restore the East Wing to its previous dimensions. We certainly have in the record architectural renderings and drawings and photos of the East Wing. It should not be too hard to restore it to its to the state in which it was before Donald Trump's wrecking ball knocked it down. And further, I think some of the folks who shamelessly contributed to the destruction of the East Wing should be encouraged to invest in the reconstruction of the East Wing as it was. Doesn't that make sense? Clean up your own mess, fix your own mistake, pay for the damage that you've done. It's kind of a hit and run if it's done any other way. Oh, sure, we could turn to the American taxpayers and say, hey, let's spend millions more tearing down this crazy ballroom and restore the East Wing. But wouldn't it be more just? Wouldn't it be more sane? Wouldn't it be more logical if the corporate cowards who funded the destruction of the East Wing were encouraged to pony up, to fix their mistake, to erase this part of history? Surely no future president is going to want to hold events in a golden, gilded billionaire's mess hall with seating for 1,000. Hey, the presidency is not a hospitality CEO job. It's not running a hotel. It's not running a restaurant. This is not a golden corral where we have to have seating for lots and lots of folks with an all-you-can-eat buffet. Not the situation. The situation is the president is the head of the executive branch, which should be operating equally with the judicial and the legislative branch. God knows we've seen the corruption of that situation where the judicial branch and the legislative branch have had their legs chopped off, and the executive branch is running amok, which is why we have such crazy stuff going on in Washington these days. The White House, as it stands, with 55,000 square feet, let me read this for you, 132 rooms on 18 acres with 35 bathrooms, 28 fireplaces, 8 staircases, 3 elevators, and lots of other wonderful amenities is plenty big enough, plenty fancy enough. It is elaborate and beautiful enough for any future and present president to occupy. It doesn't need to be any bigger. It doesn't need to be any fancier. And we certainly don't need to add a mess hall for billionaire contributors to his campaign or future campaigns or rich people in general. It is not an entertainment CEO position. It is not a hotel industry CEO position. It's an office job, and the office facilities are plenty good enough, as is the mess hall for those who need to eat there. Let's keep in mind that we do not have an imperial presidency. We have an elected official who comes and goes every 4 years or every 8 years. I looked up Versailles when I was doing a little bit of research. 7,000 rooms. Let me get this right. This is sheer nuttiness here. Yes. No, no, no. Excuse me. 700,000 square feet. 700 rooms. Larger than Central Park, the palace, the gardens, other features. So yeah, Versailles, the king. There were no controls on the king, and he built himself a giant palace. At that time, the nobles, the church, richer members of the third estate, they owned 60% of the land. 2% of the people owned 60% of the land. Sounds familiar, right? 1% of the people here in the United States having about half of the money. It's a similar situation. The French solved their problem by having a revolution and installing a guillotine. And there were daily deadly head choppings in which heads rolled into baskets, and the nobility was slowly whittled down to a manageable number. We're probably not going to have that happen in Washington. We're not going to see a guillotine. We will see re-elections, though, and we will see a realignment of power. And hopefully, the excesses of this administration will be erased in future administrations. So, yeah, that's the story of my dream last night. And it was such a disturbing dream that I woke up and I thought, I really need to start a new channel and use my voice to talk about what's going on in Washington. I'm just a regular guy, just a citizen. I'm a retired person. I've got a little leisure to study the political scene, and what I see is most disturbing. Um, yeah, the West Wing has the Oval Office and the president's working quarters, and the East Wing had the First Lady's office and her working areas. There was some balance there with the main residence in between and the connection of the colonnades. Like I showed you the picture, there was some balance. But if we're going to add a 90,000 square foot ballroom to a 55,000 square foot house, that is indeed, from an architectural standpoint, a tumor, a giant tumor, not something that should be done. And I do look forward to the next administration tearing it down, perhaps restoring Jackie Kennedy's Rose Garden and correcting any other architectural excesses around the White House. There's a lot of gold bling that can get thrown away too. Holy Toledo. How tasteless, how crass, how low class. It just goes to show having money doesn't make you a classy person. We've seen in this administration some real low class behavior, including taking a wrecking ball to the East Wing. This is the Fracture headlines. Hit like if you want, hit subscribe if you want. There's not a lot of content yet, but there will be more. Everybody have a great day.